Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I had to connect via my web browser, so I'm having a bit of difficulty here. Okay, I'm just pulling the agenda up now. Great. Do we have a quorum? It looks like we do.
Yes, we do have quorum. Oh, sorry, Dan.
Yeah, we do have a quorum. Yeah, so there's four of us. Yes, four in the boardroom, and the rest of you are all online. So we have a quorum.
Okay, so with that then, I'll start off by saying we're conducting our meeting today on the territories of the Hoop-Petchesit and the Taschat First Nations, as well as from other Nuu-chah-nulth and potentially Coast Salish territories as well. We are conducting our meeting today in a hybrid format, so we're online through YouTube, embedded in our website, but also on YouTube itself, as well as in the boardroom. And from there, I'd just like to have maybe Daniel, if you could, introduce the folks who are in the boardroom right now.
I will. Thank you. I'll put on my glasses to make sure I recognize everyone. So in the boardroom, we have Marilyn is with us. We have Penny. Sorry, I should do last name. Director Cote, Director Haggard, Director Roth is with us in the boardroom. We have our corporate officer, Wendy Thompson. We have our general manager of planning, Mike Hurd. We have our CFO, Terry Fong, and myself.
Okay. Okay, before we start, I'd just like to recognize that I think we have a new attendee. Jenny, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Jenny Tucci. I am an elected member of our legislature here in Niuafuathut. My portfolio is assets, which includes housing, infrastructure, and economic development. I'm very excited to be a new representative for our nation, so I look forward to getting to work with everybody. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that. I think we're in good shape now. We have the agenda in front of us. Does anyone have anything to add or subtract or otherwise modify? If not, we could have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Thank you, Director Boyko, seconded by, Dr. Siga. Go ahead, Wendy.
We do have a late item, Mr. Chair, for consideration under 4C. And it is a grant application with the BC Air Access Program. It was emailed out to directors. It's on our website, and there's some around the table here of the late report.
Okay, thank you very much. If we could have a motion to add that to the agenda, since we've already moved and seconded the original. Thank you, Dr. Steers, seconded by Dr. Siga. All those in favor for the amendment? Motion carried. Okay, now we go to the original amendment, or the original motion, which is now amended. All those in favor of the motion? Thank you. All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. All right, does anyone have any declarations, conflicts of interest, perceived conflicts of interest, or gifts exceeding $250 in value? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item 4A, which is a request for decision regarding the Chief Election Officer and Deputy for the 2023 by-election for Cherry Creek Director. I don't know who to call, Daniel, so I'll just go with you first, and you can throw it to whomever.
Thank you. I will direct this one to Wendy.
Thank you. So as everyone is probably aware, that the Supreme Court on November 21st declared the election for director for Cherry Creek Area F invalid. So now we have to go to a new election, a by-election. So we need to appoint a chief election officer and a deputy. And once the board does that, the clock starts ticking. We have 80 days to hold the election. So the date we're proposing, if the board appoints makes the appointments today, is March 11th, 2023. If there's any questions, I'm pleased to answer them.
Thank you for that. Director Boyko, go ahead.
I just have a question about the costing. So the thing mentions 300 hours plus. Is it plus or in addition to the $10,000 or $12,000 to hold the election?
So it's approximately 300 hours of staff time to run the election. And that's accounted for in the proposed estimated budget between 10 and 12,000. So that's included, the staff time.
Okay, I know there's no one here representing Cherry Creek, but I do have some people asking me about the costs and that kind of thing. But moving forward, I guess we'll call this a learning opportunity on what happened, and they just want to make sure it won't happen again. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Do we have anyone who's willing to entertain the motion as presented? Thank you, Director Siga. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Director Boyko. Comment? Seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. If I'm making weird faces, it's because I'm trying to listen to my kids. They're my wife has an appointment, so I'm here alone with all three of them. The next item now is item 4B, which is a request for decision regarding the Long Beach Airport fence construction and installation. I think that's Shane.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy
Please
to
go
take that one. So this is a request for decision to award the Long Beach Airport fence construction and installation to Hazelwood Construction Services with a contract value of $2,816,657. I do want to note there was a price adjustment provided by our project engineers of $11,310 this morning. It's a cost that's related to an increased unit rate on 2 items that was confirmed yesterday evening by the contractor. This change is reflected in that new revised award amount of $2,816,657. We are also requesting that the board supports amending the Airport Capital Assistance Program grant for the project to include an additional $732,704 of funding. That amount has been confirmed by the grant provider. I did want to note this project is 100% grant funded, and it is going to support Long Beach Airport wildlife and air activity safety. If you have any questions, I am happy to answer them.
Are there any comments or questions? All right, seeing none. We do have, I believe, 3
have a
motions.
question.
No, we have 1 motion that's an extended motion. Director Cote, please go ahead.
Thank you. Just about the grant. So we applied for this and we were approved. How long ago?
So we applied for the grant in the beginning of the year, and I believe the agreement was signed near the end of March, and it was for $2,333,104.
Can I just add to that, Mr. Chair? So the ACAP funding was 100% funded, and so when this project came in like $1 million over budget, we went back to them and they actually agreed to amend the agreement to proceed with that extra amount. So they recognized the cost increases that we're facing in this area, which is common for their projects everywhere. They've had some projects that weren't able to go ahead, so they had a little bit of extra funding to put towards this. So that's why that third motion to amend the agreement, because we've been very lucky to have them step forward with that additional $732,000 so that we can get this done. We also negotiated with Hazelwood to bring some of the prices down. We worked with the ACAP providers and our engineering firm, and that's why that was still getting firmed up. And last night, Hazelwood and the engineering firm have finally come to a final number on all these changes that we've requested. So it's been a lot of moving pieces to this one, and super happy to partner with the federal ACAP program to get this done.
Thank you. It has been a long time coming, and I wasn't familiar with that 2 million plus figure. So thank you.
Are there any further comments or questions? Seeing none, is anyone willing to move the motion? It's one motion, everyone. Okay, Director Steer, go ahead.
Yeah, do you want me to read out all three parts here? That the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors award the Long Beach Airport fence construction installation contract to Hazelwood Construction Services in the amount of $2,805,347, excluding GST, and further, that the ACRD Board of Directors authorize the CAO to negotiate and execute the Long Beach Airport fence construction installation contract on behalf of the regional district. And further, that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors support amending the airport's capital assistance program wildlife fence replacement agreement to include an additional $732,704 of funding.
I'll second.
Thank you, Director McEwen.
Just to clarify, so we do need the new amount of $2,816,657. Sorry, that, as Shane spoke about, we just got that number this morning, so it is $11,310 more than what's in the resolution.
I think that's what I heard. Is that what you said, Director Steer?
Those were the exact words, I believe.
Okay, that's what was meant. Okay, any further comments or questions? I see none. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you, Shane. All right, the next item is the new item, the late item, sorry, item 4C for the grant application. Terry, do you start that off?
Yes, that'll be me. So we apologize for this being late. There has been a lot of Long Beach Airport discussion among staff in this last week. So we had a tender for the maintenance building close for Long Beach Airport and the Alberni Valley Airport. It's come in way higher than anticipated. And so we've done a lot of planning and looking and figuring out whether we want to actually not award that contract and apply for this one instead. So we have decided that we want to leave our options open so we can have a little bit of a bigger discussion in January. However, this grant closes tomorrow and we cannot submit a grant application without a resolution from the board. So what we're asking is for a resolution to apply. And then in early January at that first meeting, we'll bring back a plan that we talk about the maintenance building and have a better grasp of what we actually need, whether ACAP will come to the table with more money for that project as well, and what our shortfall is on that, as well as this project, just so that we can have a fulsome discussion. So I appreciate the board's support in submitting this grant application at this time.
If I could add one thing to that, Chair. As we talk about all these grants, a lot of the variation has been cost escalations that were not forecasted at the time of grant applications. A lot of that has been steel, concrete, and labor. And so for this application, I just want the board to know that we actually got a third party to review the original estimate and adjust it to December of this year, 2022. So the estimate we are much more confident about, given the reality of the bids that we've been receiving. So I think that that's an important part to flag.
Thank you. Are there any further comments or questions? Do we have a recommended wording, or would it just be to accept the grant application and move it forward?
I can read it. So the recommendation is that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors support the application for funding from the BC Air Access Program for the Long Beach Airport Capital Project, construct a new water pump house and fire flow pumping system for a total project cost of $1,134,000.
I'll make the motion.
Oh, okay. Moved by Dr. Steer, seconded by Dr. McEwen. Did you have a comment, Dr. McEwen?
No.
No? Okay. Any further comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to planning matters. I believe that'll be Mike, if you want to introduce this, and then we'll go right to Dr.
Thank you. And I actually have a different resolution than what's on the agenda. So I just wanted to note that staff recently identified an error in the land use map number 2, and this will need to be corrected. So staff at this time are recommending that the board defer any decision on bylaw 1443 And we will bring a report back in January. And I just want to note that this change would necessitate a second public hearing, which was part of the discussion, at the first public hearing. So we will bring a full report with the required amendments and a delegation for the requirement to have a second public hearing. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
That's a president call. Director Cote, please go ahead.
Thank you. I'm happy to hear this. I think that it's what the community was asking for in the first place, for a second public hearing. So whatever the technicality is, that's good. Can I just make a motion as to what Mike said?
It would just be a motion to defer.
Motion to defer.
To the next meeting or a specific date? Probably a specific date.
The first meeting in January, we will bring a
Oh, okay.
It can be for the first meeting in January.
Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Director Boyko. Okay, so with that, any comments or questions? I think I'd just like to reiterate, it's quite technical to go through these processes because we have to check every box exactly, and if there's a mistake, it's very easy to challenge the decisions that are being made. So, for the amount of time it takes, it may be necessary to do this right the first time. So with that, I'll just call. So all those in favor, just for electoral area directors. All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, and then lastly, we have one report for communications. I think that's going to be Daniel. Please go ahead.
That will be me. Thank you. So at our last meeting, there was quite a bit of discussion around communications and outreach. So just as an information report, we drafted this and brought it forward to the board to receive. The things that I want to flag in this is that staff are working on a communications policy that we intend to bring forward to the board in 2023. The policy is going to focus on a number of key areas, but primarily ensuring that engagement is carried out in a meaningful way based on the project at hand, that it's timely, respectful, and culturally appropriate, and that each one of the communication plans will be tied to the specific project, and those plans will come to the board in the reports so that the board is aware of how it is that we plan to engage on different initiatives. We are going to recommend that the board adopt the International Association for Public Participation Spectrum for Engagement as a basis, and that would guide how staff then make decisions for proposing a communications plan. So included in the report is an excerpt from their webpage. That is a good summary of the IAP2 spectrum. And in essence, what it does is it identifies what the promise to the public is. We'll keep you informed, for example, all the way through to we will implement what you decide. And based on that promise, you get a different level of engagement, everything from inform, consult, involve, collaborate, empower. And then based on that, there's actually recommendations and structures that we would propose to engage based on the area or the populace that we're looking to engage with. So the spectrum is extremely useful just as a general guide, but it also helps promote consistency, and that'll help staff as they're creating plans. It also help the board as the board is looking at plans and saying, well, I disagree. I might think that this is more of a consult or collaborate versus an inform on this project. So it does give us that ability to speak the same language when it comes to engagement of the general public. Some of the tools that we're working on creating and implementing in 2023 is the email distribution, social media, direct mailouts, one-on-one meetings, telephone when requested, organized events, surveys, website posts, sandwich boards, that tried and trusted system for a lot of the regional area, advertising via different media bases, and then briefings to the board of directors. They're all just different tools that can be used as we're looking to engage the general public. And of course, a lot of these, to work effectively will take time to build up. And I'll use the email distribution as a good example. If people in the regional district want to receive specific information, we actually have to survey out, make sure that we have the proper forms for them to give their email address and indicate what information they want. And under Canadian law, that has to be repeated on an annual basis. But we'll be starting from a point of no emails, and so it will take time to actually build up. And we'll probably use public hearings as a basis. People typically sign in, and what they'll have is with that sign in will be an option to receive information. They'll leave those copies, and the other way will be via our website, where people can jump online and voluntarily leave their information with specific areas that they're interested in. So these are all elements that take time to build up. And because they take time to build up, we're also a staff saying that we believe that those projects that are already on the go, that we should continue doing our best within our existing frameworks, so that those projects aren't unnecessarily delayed. But certainly as we move forward, we'll be looking to improve on our outreach frameworks. If there's any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Director Boyko, go ahead, and then Director Cote.
Excuse me. Thank you, Chair. I like the idea of sandwich boards. Like, for example, going into Sprout Lake or Beaufort or some places, there's only 1 or 2 or 3 access points that are manned vehicle used, and they drive by, and everyone has to go to town once or twice a week at least. So that's a great thing that people will see and be able to talk about. That they don't have to check their Facebook, they don't have to get a newspaper, they'll see it. So I like it. Thank you.
Director Cote, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So this is definitely an improvement to what regional district has been doing in the past. My top identified priority that we do with the community is communicate between the directors and staff, and that missing link was to the community, in my opinion. I'm really happy to see that we're taking these measures. Sandwich boards are just one way to connect with the community. Mail outs is what I do on a regular basis. 3 or 4 times a year, I'll do a mail out and try to include as much information as I can. So really would like to offer Sprout Lake Community Association, their website, as another way of getting people informed that they need to sign up for the regional district website mail outs. And a lot of this communication did come from the last OCP public hearing for Sprout Lake. It was also identified at the Banfield OCP public hearing that there was very little participation, which in my opinion was that we didn't communicate well enough. And it's just the way that we had, it was our policy. The staff do such a wonderful job at creating what they do in these public hearings and other formats that it's a shame to not be able to connect with the community if we don't have proper communications in place. So I'm thrilled. Thank you.
So Daniel, are you looking for a motion to move adoption? Oh, Dr. Roth, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if perhaps we could expand or utilize the existing notification or alert system for tsunamis. I mean, why couldn't we do something like that where people, especially important things like the meeting, the OCP meeting, and things like that, where they receive a text? That's something it's important. It's not an emergency, but why couldn't we use the same type of system?
So I'll cover that one off because I know a bit about it. So I wouldn't use the Voyant alert system because it overrides people's notification settings because it's like emergency stuff. But you could have either an app or some sort of opt-in option for people who wish to receive text messages. So they'd have to sign up. They'd have to opt into it. but it would be something that people could use to stay connected in regards to people who use their phones quite a lot. I think one thing that we may want to consider, as devilish as it sounds, is potentially using the phone bee machine services that leave messages to kind of go, on Thursday at 7 p.m. there will be that sort of thing, and you can kind of identify people who live in certain areas who have home phones. And the people who have home phones tend to be people who don't use social media. So, so I mean, I have a home phone, but it's bundled, but it is actually pretty useful for our Hawaiian system of getting the message out there for meetings and for distributions of fish and that sort of thing. So it's not particularly expensive. You will get people complaining though, because it is quite nefarious if you can use it too often. I think the list of items is non-exhaustive, however. Is that correct, Daniel? And please go ahead.
That is correct. And so, and to answer your other question, all we're looking for is that the board receive this report.
Director Roth, do you want to move to receive? I can't see if you're nodding, sorry. Okay, thank you. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Dr. Siga. Any further comments? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. So I think that brings us to the conclusion of our meeting. Just let me double check here. Yep, we have no unfinished business, no late business. Do we have any comments or questions online, Director Thompson? Ms. Thompson?
No, Mr. Chair, we do not.
All right, thank you. Could we have a motion to adjourn, Director Tucci? Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Dr. Siga. No comments. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you, and welcome, Dr. Tucci, to the board. Okay, thank you, everyone. Everyone have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I
Thank
would note that
you.
it's the solstice today too, for those of you